At the end of my Is Tyrion a Secret Targaryen video, I spent some time looking at Tywin's final words. Tywin tells Tyrion that he is not his son. In the show, Tyrion responds by saying that he is and has always been Tywin's son. In the books, Tyrion tells Tywin that he's wrong, explaining that our favorite small person is Tywin writ Small. George R.R. Martin confirms that Tyrion is Tywin's son by making that the end of the conversation. But that same conversation happens with Tyrion's brother, Jaime Lannister, and does not have the same ending. When Sir Jaime tells Tywin that he does not intend to leave the Kingsguard, and therefore cannot be his heir, Lord Tywin Lannister tells the Lord Commander that he is not his son. Tywin clearly only means this in a metaphorical sense, as he does later in the same book when he makes the same statement about Tyrion. But many fans don't read that as metaphorical, instead pointing to it as evidence of Tyrion's secret Targaryen heritage. But Tyrion's personality and skill set make him a carbon copy of Tywin, or as Martin puts it, Tywin writ Small. His story parallels his father's in such meaningful ways, and Tyrion is so defined by his relationship with his father, that a revelation of Tyrion being someone else's son would cheapen his storyline in a way uncharacteristic of Martin. But the same can't be said of Tyrion's older sister and brother, who outright fail in their attempts to be reflections of Tywin. Jaime Lannister even compares his father to a glacier, while comparing Cersei to wildfire. Tyrion's story parallels his father, Tywin Lannister, while Cersei's story parallels the man some believe could be her real father, Mad King Aerys. As I stated in Tyrion's video, it is likely that Lady Joanna and King Aerys II had some kind of sexual encounter, if not several. The Mad King is rumored to have taken Joanna's maidenhood, and we have only Maester Pycelle's word that this isn't true, which likely means that it is true. The Mad King likely fondled Lady Joanna on her wedding night, given Sir Barristan Selmy's account, but nothing happened beyond unwanted touching. Not long after this incident, Queen Rhaella dismissed Joanna Lannister from her service, and had been heard saying that she did not approve of Aerys turning her ladies into whores. There were opportunities after the wedding night, as Joanna did visit King's Landing after her dismissal. Though her visits were seldom, it only takes one instance to get pregnant. In any event, Grand Maester Pycelle is the source of these accounts, and given his loyalty to Tywin, these accounts should be read with a grain of salt. Martin has invested a lot into the story of Joanna and Aerys, for there to be nothing there. The Mad King was also not above raping someone, so that instance may not have been consensual. Daenerys was likely conceived through rape, after the Mad King was turned on by watching his Hand of the King, Lord Chelstead, burned to death. Which brings me back to the Mad Queen. Cersei Lannister also has a peculiar obsession with wildfire, as Tyrion contemplates a possible marriage alliance with House Tyrell, and as Cersei hopes to just remove Tyrion from the capital. Tyrion notes that the candlelight gleamed as green as wildfire in Cersei's eyes. As Sansa hid with the other ladies of the court during Blackwater, she too remarks on Cersei's eyes of wildfire. Keep in mind that it was Cersei that initially commissioned the Alchemist Guild to make wildfire a Stannis approach so that Cersei could rain fire upon her enemies, a sentiment obviously shared by the man who burned Rickard Stark alive. In the books, Cersei burns the Tower of the Hand, where her father died, alongside most of Tyrion's possessions. Cersei remarks that the burning of the tower will be a lesson to their enemies, to which Jaime replies, "Now you sound like Aerys." Watching the Tower of the Hand burn, Cersei thinks of all the hands of the king burning, from her lover's husband, Owen Merryweather, to the Valonqar she vows to destroy. All of them burning now, she told herself, savoring the thought. They are dead and burning, every one, with all their plots and schemes and betrayals. It is my day now. It is my castle and my kingdom. Sentiments clearly shared by the Mad King, who did indeed burn one of his hands, Carlton Chestad alive. The tower was burned to cap off Tommen and Marjorie's wedding, and when the burning tower was in its planning stages, Cersei thinks to herself that it would be the only part of the ceremony she would enjoy. And indeed it was. Martin writes that the wildfire cleansed and burned away her rage and fear. Sir Jaime's passage recollecting the Tower of the Hand is worth rereading in its entirety. Jaime knew the look in his sister's eyes. He had seen it before, most recently on the night of Tommen's wedding, when she burned the Tower of the Hand. The green light of the wildfire had bathed the face of the watchers, so they looked nothing so much as rotting corpses, a pack of gleeful ghouls. But some of those corpses were prettier than others. Even in the baleful glow, Cersei had been beautiful to look upon. She stood with one hand on her breast, her lips parted, her green eyes shining. She is crying, Jaime had realized. But whether it was from grief or ecstasy, he could not have said. The sight had filled him with disquiet, reminding him of Aerys Targaryen, and the way a burning would arouse him. His recollection ends with him thinking about some of the Mad King's last words. Let him be king of charred bones and cooked meat, Jaime remembered, studying his sister's smile. Observing Cersei reminded Jaime of how Aerys Targaryen was aroused by burning men alive. Cersei is clearly aroused by the flames from Jaime's viewpoint, but in case it wasn't clear to the readers, Martin also shows us the burning of the tower from Cersei's perspective. Cersei describes how Ladies gasped when the flames first appeared, and how the fire licked up the outer walls like long green tongues. And from the earlier quote about the hands of the king, it is clear that Cersei is aroused at the idea of burning men alive, just like Mad King Aerys. As Jaime Lannister says in the book earlier, the Targaryens were all mad for fire. The obsession with wildfire and the arousal of burning men alive isn't the end of the similarities between the Mad King and the Mad Queen. Starting with the obvious, the Mad King and Queen were both mad. Sir Barristan tells us that Mace Daemon's nephew, King Jaehaerys II, once told him that every time a new Targaryen is born, the gods toss a coin in the air, and the world holds its breath to see how it will land. Cersei is part of a set of twins, and her other half is decidedly not crazy. But in the Targaryen family tree, madness occurs in a ratio closer to 1 in 3. From Visenya, a child of 3, who crowned Maegor the Cruel, to Viserys, a child of 3, who died of a golden crown. Cersei had 3 children as well, and one of them turned out crazy. In the show, Cersei quotes Jaehaerys from Barristan's passage, while contemplating whether Joffrey and his madness are the cost of her and Jaime's sins.
Sometimes I wonder.
What?
If this is the price. For what we've done. For our sins.
Sins? The Targaryens...
Wed brother and sister for hundreds of years, I know. It's what Jaime and I would say to each other in our moments of doubt. It's what I told Ned Stark when he was stupid enough to confront me. Half the Targaryens went mad, didn't they? What's the saying? Every time a Targaryen is born, the gods flip a coin.
Cersei and Aerys were both always a little disturbed, but each had a singular event that took them over the edge. For Aerys, it was his captivity during the defiance of Dunskendale. For Cersei, it was the death of her first child, Joffrey. While traveling with young Griff, Tyrion explains Cersei's paranoia and cruelty by comparing her to the Targaryen kings. Cersei is as gentle as King Maegor, as selfless as Aegon the Unworthy, and as wise as the Mad King. She never forgets a slight, real or imagined. She takes caution for cowardice and dissent for defiance. And she is greedy. Greedy for power, for honor, for love. Tommen's rule is boasted by all the alliances that my Lord Father built so carefully, but soon enough she will destroy them, every one. Aerys was also known for his cruelty. He once accused someone of murder when a close relative died, then had them executed. He then later blamed the death on his mistress and had her family tortured to death. Sir Jaime describes a mad king full of fear and distrust, who saw traitors everywhere, who pushed everyone away until it was just him, his Kingsguard, his pyromancers, and his iron chair. In A Feast for Crows, Jaime remarks on Cersei's growing paranoia by stating that she is seeing dwarfs in every shadow and making foes of friends, stating that he and their Uncle Kevin were not her enemies. Cersei's internal response to his criticisms were to ask herself, how could I have ever loved that wretched creature? She wondered after he had gone. He was your twin, your shadow, your other half, another voice whispered. Once perhaps, she thought. No longer. He has become a stranger to me. When discussing who should be the hand of the king after Tywin's demise, Cersei states, a weak ruler needs a strong hand, as Aerys needed a father. A strong ruler only requires a diligent servant to carry out his orders. She swirled her wine. Lord Helene might suit. He would not be the first pyromancer to serve as king's hand. Cersei would like to appoint the second pyromancer to ever serve as hand. The first was Rosart, the last hand of Mad King Aerys. After chasing away capable hands in Tywin Lannister and Tyrion Lannister, both the Mad King and the Mad Queen filled their councils with sycophants. Both Cersei and Aerys destroyed their relationships with their closest childhood friend. The friendship of Aerys and Tywin obviously deteriorated from their inseparable youth and Tywin knighting the prince. Cersei, for her part, kills her closest companion, Malara Heatherspoon, after she asks Maggie the Frog if she will marry Jaime Lannister. Another Targaryen trait that Cersei and the Mad King share is incest. Aerys married his sister, though his marriage was forced through the prophecy of Jenny of Oldstone's Woods Witch. Aerys' father, Jaehaerys II, married his sister out of love, though he was promised to the daughter of House Tully, and she was promised to Lady Olenna's husband, Luther Tyrell. Cersei, of course, is the lover of her twin brother Jaime, and her 3 children are fathered by him. In their youth, Lady Joanna was horrified to learn of their activities together. He could not bear to be long apart from his twin. Even as children, they would creep into each other's beds and sleep with their arms entwined, even in the womb. Long before his sister's flowering, or the advent of his manhood, they had seen mares and stallions in the fields, and dogs and bitches in the kennels, and played at doing the same. Once their mother's maid had caught them at it. He did not recall just what they had been doing, but whatever it was, it horrified Lady Joanna. Cersei and Jaime being Targaryen bastards makes their relationship make sense. It also adds a great number of parallels and significance to their story. It means that Robert fought a war to end House Targaryen, only to have his half-Targaryen wife kill him and place her half-Targaryen bastards on his throne. It means that Cersei spent her youth dreaming of her half-brother Rhaegar, married her second cousin, the grandson of Rhael Targaryen, and bore children with her brother. It creates a parallel to the Blackfyre Rebellion, where Maester Aemon's grandfather, Daeron II, was accused of being a product of an adulterous and incestuous relationship between the Queen and her brother, a knight of the Kingsguard, Aemon the Dragon Knight. Their brother, King Aegon the Unworthy, was a famed adulterer with bastards throughout the 7 kingdoms. And those rumors of the Queen and her Kingsguard brother started a war that almost threw them out of power. Aerys believed that his son, Rhaegar, planned to overthrow him, but in the end, he was killed by his other potential son, Sir Jaime Lannister, perhaps paralleling Cersei, believing that her younger brother Tyrion is destined to kill her when she will likely be killed by her slightly younger brother, who is also Jaime. The twins being the children of the Mad King also means that both Lannister children killed their fathers, making both the so-called Kingslayer brothers kinslayers. Jaime's name doesn't follow the pattern we see in Tytos, Tywin, and Tyrion. He doesn't have his father's cunning. He doesn't share Tywin and Tyrion's taste for whores, having been loyal to Cersei his entire life. Jaime doesn't really have anything in common with his father, a point made by Tywin's sister in A Feast for Crows. But every little girl needs a big brother to protect her. Tywin was big even when he was little. She gave a sigh. Who will protect us now? Jaime kissed her cheek. He left a son. Aye, he did. And that is what I fear the most in truth. That was a queer remark. Why should you fear? Jaime, she said, tugging on his ear. Sweetling, I have known you since you were a babe at Joanna's breast. You smile like Geryon and fight like Tig. And there's some of Kevin in you, else you would not wear that cloak. But Tyrion is Tywin's son, not you. I said so once to your father's face, and he would not speak to me for half a year. Men are such thundering great fools, even the sort that come along once in 1,000 years. Lady Jenna recognizes that Jaime has nothing in common with her brother, while Tyrion is Tywin writ small. Tywin's response is peculiar, as he is told that the son he wants cannot be his heir, and that the son he doesn't want is the only one capable of leading the family. In A Feast for Crows, Sir Jaime also has what he thinks is a dream of his mother. Lady Joanna confirms it is not a dream, as Jaime is two-handed in his dreams and only has one hand in this unconscious state. Lady Joanna goes on to say that we all dream of things we cannot have. Tywin dreamed that his son would be a great knight, and that his daughter would be a queen. He dreamed that they would be so strong and brave and beautiful that no one would ever laugh at them. But Jaime, confused, reminds her that he is a knight and Cersei is a queen, which causes Joanna to tear up and walk away. Earlier in the passage, Joanna refers to Jaime's father and his hatred of laughter. Although Tywin famously mistrusted laughter, so did the Mad King. Lady Joanna asks if Jaime ever truly knew his father, which could be a reference to how only Lady Joanna knew Tywin, and could make the unsmiling lion laugh. But the only time Joanna uses Tywin's name in this passage is when she tells Jaime that Tywin doesn't have a son who's a knight and a daughter who is a queen. Many interpret this as metaphorical, stating that Jaime is not a true knight, as he is an oathbreaker who slew the king he had sworn to protect, that Cersei is not a true queen, as she did not bear the king's children, that though they are brave and beautiful, they are not the strength of House Lannister, and are laughed at across the Seven Kingdoms. This interpretation could very well be valid, but everything else in this passage seems relatively straightforward, and there is a mountain of evidence from Cersei's obsession with wildfire to Joanna's single tear that suggests that something more could be going on. Cersei and Jaime being the children of Aerys may also explain Tywin's hatred of Tyrion. It would mean that Aerys gave Joanna the brave and beautiful children he always wanted, while Tywin produced an ugly monster that killed his wife. As time went on, it became more and more clear that the twins had more in common with Targaryens than Tywin, and Tywin's disappointment was just a smaller, drunken version of himself. The day may come when Jaime sees Cersei for what she is, a reflection of Mad King Aerys, and may again have to choose between fire and blood. Also, white and gold are the colors of the Kingsguard. There is a dragon named for Daenerys' cruel brother, whose colors are white and gold. If the twins are the children of the Mad King, dragon seeds if you will, then Viserion the dragon, named for Daenerys' cruel brother, was destined for her older brother in the Kingsguard, the cruel one who helped lead to the downfall of her family. But as I said in my Dragon Rider theory, that's not quite how things are going to go down.